Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Incredible Hulk breakdown video with all new details and Marvel Phase 4 Easter eggs and connections that we missed the first time we saw it. Since we're all on lockdown, we're rewatching all the Avengers Infinity Saga MCU movies, finding new Easter eggs, teasers for the upcoming movies. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. As part of this series, we're doing a new Infinity Saga Box Set giveaways for all the Blu-rays. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and participate with your favorite things from Incredible Hulk that set up the future movies. Careful for spoilers from all the Marvel movies so far. I'll number these Easter eggs a little differently as we go through the movie from start to finish. Looking at the Incredible Hulk now, it's a bit of a weird situation. It's one of those early Marvel Phase 1 movies when Marvel Studios was still trying to figure itself out and build up to an Avengers crossover. So early on, they knew that they wanted the Hulk, and they tried the Hulk with Ang Lee's movie earlier. That did okay, but they wanted to do a more hardcore approach to the character, a darker version of the Hulk. The original Ang Lee film was a little more psychological. It took forever for him to actually turn into the Hulk, so they just blow through that during this film. They crank the action way up, and in fact, Edward Norton, who would later infamously part ways with Marvel, allowing Mark Ruffalo to take over as the Hulk in the first Avengers movie, recently revealed the full story of what their original plans were for his Hulk trilogy of movies with a dark version of the Hulk, way more hardcore, something more akin to the tone of the immortal Hulk comic book right now, without all the big cosmic stuff. And speaking of Mark Ruffalo, he'll obviously figure into this as we talk about future Hulk Easter eggs, but the director of the movie, Louis Leterrier's original choice for Hulk during Incredible Hulk was Mark Ruffalo, but the studio, Kevin Feige, Marvel, and Universal decided on Edward Norton just because he was a more bankable name at the time. That's why when it came time to recast the Hulk for the Avengers movie when Edward Norton left, they went straight to Mark Ruffalo because he was originally on the shortlist to be Hulk for Incredible Hulk. The beginning of the movie forgoes the traditional origin story just by giving you a montage showing you his gamma experiments, the accident that turned him into the Hulk. This will be key for later when General Thunderbolt Ross starts talking about the Weapons Plus program, because he reveals that Banner's original gamma experiments were secretly part of the new version of the Super Soldier program without telling Banner what he was working on. The Weapons Plus program is just the higher version of what the Super Soldier program became, weapons engineered by the military to create better soldiers through various means. Each different iteration of the Weapons Plus program gets a different moniker. Captain America is Designation Weapon 1, Wolverine, who most people think of as Weapon X, is actually Weapon 10. The X stands for Roman numeral 10. This is all key for Marvel Phase 4 and Marvel Phase 5 setup that I'll reference later in the video when talking about the new movies in the Disney Plus series like Falcon and Winter Soldier that pick up on this Weapons Plus storyline. The opening montage also mirrors the opening scene from the Incredible Hulk 1970s TV show exactly, shot for shot. During this, we meet our Betty Ross, Liv Tyler, for the first time. Even though she hasn't come back in the MCU, the Russos did reveal that she got snapped during Infinity War, and she is alive in the MCU somewhere. She could always come back and cameo at some point. Liv Tyler actually took over the role of Betty Ross from Jennifer Connelly in the Ang Lee Hulk movie. Jennifer Connelly later married Paul Bettany, the Vision, the voice of Jarvis. And during Spider-Man Homecoming, Jennifer Connelly came back to do the voice of Karen, aka Suit Lady, for Spider-Man's Stark Tech suit. In fact, another big actor from Incredible Hulk came back during Spider-Man Homecoming. Martin Starr, who plays Mr. Harrington in the Spider-Man movie Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, I think we can assume that he's going to come back during Spider-Man 3. Kevin Feige later revealed that he's actually playing the same character. He said that this character in Incredible Hulk is Mr. Harrington. When they're flashing through all the newspaper clippings, you spot a bunch of familiar names. Rick Jones, who's a longtime Hulk comic book sidekick. They haven't really done him in the movies yet, but they could always bring him in future Hulk projects. Another big Hulk comic book character, Leonard Samson, appears, who's played by Ty Burrell. He's more of a psychiatrist during this movie, but eventually in the comics, he siphons off some of Hulk's gamma, gets powers, and becomes Doc Samson. There's a really big Nick Fury Easter egg here. We've already seen him in the first Iron Man movie post-credit scene, so we know who he is. We see the S.H.I.E.L.D.'s logo show up on a bunch of documents and websites. Remember, they're still setting up the MCU and trying to build to the Avengers, so there's a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff all over the place in this movie. Also on the document, it says Code Red, Threat Level Red, one of the many Red Hulk Thunderbolt Ross Easter eggs in the movie. Incredible Hulk. During that opening montage, you also see Thunderbolt Ross raise his hand up covered in red. Some of the other documents are schematics of Stark Industries weapons that Thunderbolt Ross uses later in the movie to try and subdue Hulk with those special sound waves. They use that same technology against Spider-Man and those drones during Spider-Man Far From Home, and it also showed up in Captain America Civil War inside Rhodey's War Machine armor. We meet our Thunderbolt Ross for the first time. He's still active military during the events of this movie. As he explained during Captain America Civil War, a few years before the events of that movie, he suffered the heart attack and transitioned to his civilian job as head of the World Security Council, making him even more influential and powerful. Thunderbolt Ross today is a much bigger character and will continue to be a big part of the MCU through future Hulk stories in the Disney Plus series like the Thunderbolts and a Red Hulk storyline that they're slowly setting up using the Disney Plus series like Falcon and Winter Soldier. William Hurt said a long time ago one of the main reasons why he took the role in the Marvel movies was because he was a huge Hulk comic book fan. And based on what Edward Norton said about a lot of their original plans for his character pre-Mark Ruffalo Hulk change, it sounds like he might have eventually become the main villain of the final Hulk movie in their Hulk trilogy. A lot of this evidence also comes from the leader character played by Tim Blake Nelson, who gets his comic book origin story at the end of the film. He says that his character was originally going to be the villain of the sequel, and in the comics, he's the character who turns Thunderbolt Ross into Red Hulk. Thunderbolt Ross is going to appear during the Black Widow movie, as we've all seen during that trailer, although it's a slightly different version of the character. The timeline is a little bit weird, and he looks like a very different version of the character that we've seen before. He's using a cane, but it looks like they've digitally de-aged him to make him look younger, even though this is happening after Captain America Civil War, and this is what he looked like during that movie. All just more clues about their plans for Thunderbolt Ross storyline in Marvel Phase 4. Then before they actually pick up in Brazil, there was going to be a deleted scene that they took out of the movie where Edward Norton's Hulk tries to kill himself with a gun down in the polar ice caps. When that happened, he actually turned into the Hulk, created a giant shockwave that unearthed, get it, Captain America in his shield. Because remember, this movie came out a couple years before the Captain America movie. It was also before they had cast Chris Evans as Captain America. But the Incredible Hulk movie is littered with Captain America Easter eggs and setup, because they did way more of that during the early Marvel Phase 1 movies. There was way more crossover and setup in each movie. The more recent Marvel movies have tended to be a little more self-contained, and usually the big teaser moments setting up other movies are relegated to post-credit scenes at the end of the movie. The movie then references the Ang Lee Hulk movie when Bruce Banner shows up in Brazil, South America. At the end of Ang Lee's Hulk film, it was implied that he was running around somewhere in South America. On the TV, you notice that he's watching Bill Bixby, David Bruce Banner of the original Incredible Hulk TV show. Remember, he was David Banner on the TV show, not Bruce Banner, even though he was playing the comic book character. We find out that he's working in a soft drink factory. They have a funny moment where his blood slips into a bottle. He tries to stop it from making it out. They pay the reference off during the Stan Lee cameo later when he drinks some of that soda, and it's implied that he hulks out. There's a big thing about people trying to steal Hulk's blood, Hulk's DNA during this movie to use it to replicate more super soldiers. That's also a big Easter egg for She-Hulk too, who got her powers when she received a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner in the comics. Right now, Marvel is making a She-Hulk Disney Plus series. It's set to star Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, so it sounds like they're going to try and do a comic book version of her origin story when that debuts. The Fort Johnson that Thunderbolt Ross is working out of is named after Kenneth Johnson, the creator of the 1970s Incredible Hulk TV series. We see Emil Blonsky for the first time, aka the Abomination. And even though we haven't seen the Abomination since the Incredible Hulk movie, Marvel did confirm that he's still alive. They could always bring him back at some point for Thunderbolts, or it just depends on what they want to use the character for. During our next big Hulk out scene, you also notice that the way they filmed this is very similar to the way that they filmed Mark Ruffalo's first transformation into the Hulk during the Avengers movie, almost as if it were a horror film, filming him from the shadows, from the perspective of the people who are running away from him, like Black Widow. When Edward Norton was talking about his vision for a darker Hulk trilogy, he was talking about stuff like this, filming Hulk as if it were more of a horror film. The closest thing we're going to get to a horror film in the MCU is actually going to be Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, which is being directed by Sam Raimi, Mr. Spider-Man himself.
Pizza time.
Banner changes back, walking through the streets in his shredded pants. They play the classic theme song from the Incredible Hulk TV series again, and we get our infamous Super Soldier Weapons Plus scene where Thunderbolt Ross explains how he's dusted off the Super Soldier program and has big plans for it in the future.
Banner's work was very early phase. It wasn't even weapons application.
He thought he was working on radiation resistance. I would never have told him what the project really was.
And something went very wrong. Or it went very right.
This is all Marvel creating backstory for characters like Wolverine in the MCU through the Weapon X program, setting all that stuff up, laying seeds for Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5. Even though at the time they filmed this, Marvel did not have the rights to the character and Fox was getting ready to release Wolverine Origins. But just a little while before this, earlier in the year when they released the Iron Man movie, there was a deleted scene where they mentioned mutants, X-Men, Spider-Man, so it was clear that Kevin Feige wanted to do Wolverine in the MCU way back then. The reason this is a big deal, creating a connection between Wolverine and Hulk in the MCU, is because Wolverine debuted in the Incredible Hulk comics, number 181. You notice outside Thunderbolt Ross's office, there's a picture of Captain America, because it's all about the Super Soldier program setting up Weapons Plus, but it was also before they cast Chris Evans in the Captain America movie. That didn't happen until a couple years after this movie was released. We see that Thunderbolt Ross already has a new version of the Super Soldier serum he's going to inject the Abomination with. On the tank, it confirms the Weapons Plus program. Dr. Reinstein was the alias Dr. Erskine used in the Captain America movie, and the tech is made by Stark Industries, Howard Stark being one of the pioneers of the Super Soldier program. Vita rays were also the original method they used for irradiating Captain America to give him his powers in the comics. Like I said, there is so much Captain America all over this movie. Bruce goes to Stanley's Pizza, a reference to Hulk creator Stan Lee. The owner of the restaurant is played by actor Paul Soles. He was the voice of the Hulk in the 1960s animated Hulk series, also did the voice of a bunch of other animated Marvel characters. Then we get our big Lou Ferrigno cameo when he takes the pizza to the security guard. He also got a cameo during the Ang Lee Hulk film, and maybe they'll give him a cameo during She-Hulk or if they do an Incredible Hulk Disney Plus series, because Mark Ruffalo did say that they have the rights to do an Incredible Hulk TV series, so he's been pitching one to Marvel. We have our big Hulk battle with Thunderbolt Ross and Blonsky on the campus using those Stark Tech sonic cannons. The two kids who record the fight on their phones are big comic book Easter eggs. This one on the left is Jim Wilson, he's another sidekick like Rick Jones. The other is Jack McGee, who's a reporter from the 1970s Incredible Hulk TV show who kept trying to chase down the Hulk to do reports on him. Their footage is actually used by WHIH in a news broadcast later. That's the same organization that they used in the other Marvel movies like Captain America Civil War. Betty takes Banner back to her house. She brings him those giant purple stretchy comic book pants. He just laughs and says, "No thanks, I'll take my chances." The SHIELD logo shows up on another computer terminal and they reveal Samuel Stearns, aka the leader. Marvel has said that his character is still alive in the MCU, but they haven't said whether or not they plan to bring him back or to the Abomination. Currently those characters are just sitting in a prison somewhere on ice. When Blonsky comes to force him to give him more of Hulk's gamma blood, more power, he literally says the name Abomination. We have our big hero moment when he jumps out of the plane knowing that he won't die when he hits the pavement because he'll Hulk out. Later in Thor Ragnarok, they use this as a joke when Mark Ruffalo's Hulk has this big hero speech, then jumps out of the ship and just splats on the Bifrost and just sits there for a hot minute before changing. During their big fight, Hulk finally says Hulk smash for the first time, his trademark catchphrase. They later brought that back around during the Avengers movie when Captain America says Hulk smash. They brought the joke back around again during Avengers Endgame, only this time they played it for comedy because he was Professor Hulk and he says, "Yeah, I don't know, this feels kind of gratuitous, but maybe I should smash some stuff."
Maybe smash a few things along the way.
I think it's gratuitous, but whatever.
While this fight is going on, you also notice a Michael K. Williams minor cameo. He played Omar on The Wire. He's done a bunch of other stuff too. So Omar also running around in the background while this is all happening. Really cool continuity Easter egg too. Abomination stabs Hulk through the chest while they're fighting with one of his big spikes. Marvel has kept that scar on Mark Ruffalo's Hulk this whole time in all of his Marvel movies. There's another big Incredible Hulk TV series Easter egg on Betty's package there. It's addressed to David Banner. And because obviously they were trying to set up the first Avengers movie using this, now he meditates, implying that he can kind of control his transformations into the Hulk when his eyes start glowing green. Later, Mark Ruffalo would reference this by telling the Avengers his quote-unquote secret.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
Then we get our big Iron Man post-credit scene revealing that he's putting the Avengers team together and teases Captain America because that movie hadn't happened yet, saying that the Super Soldier program was put on ice for a reason, wink wink, Captain America literally being put on ice.
What if I told you we were putting a team together? Who's we?
There's another big Red Hulk Thunderbolt Ross teaser when you see the drink he's drinking is green, just like the same cola drink Stan Lee was drinking with the Hulk's blood earlier in the movie. The next big Thunderbolt Ross storyline we're going to see is going to happen during Falcon and Winter Soldier, where he restarts the Super Soldier program again, the Weapons Plus program. That's a big part of the plot of the series. Currently, that's supposed to premiere in August. There may be some delay with that, but there'll be a bunch more Easter eggs carried over from the Incredible Hulk movie and what was going on during that series. So everyone, let me know in the comments if you spotted any other big Marvel Phase 4 Easter eggs or Avengers Endgame foreshadowing or any other big details that you didn't notice the first time you watched the movie. My next big Infinity Saga video will be for Iron Man 2 because we're going in release order. That video will post in the next couple of days, but leave all your video requests in the comments below. Everyone, click here for that big Iron Man Infinity Saga video, and click here for my new Guardians of the Galaxy 3 breakdown video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.